Well, welcome to the Top Gun Show, where I try to bring you new providers, new technologies, and introduce you to the best professionals in the industry, all so you can make informed decisions. Today, I'd like to welcome my good friend Eric Stark from Granite Telecommunications, the sponsor of the Top Gun Show. Eric is a senior sales leader with over 20 years' experience building and growing high-performance teams in the telecom industry. Eric has held significant leadership and management positions in a variety of organizations, including Fortune 100 companies like AT&T, several startups, and the U.S. federal government. For the past decade, Eric has been driving B2B revenues across North America through channel partners. Eric, welcome back to the Top Gun Show.
Good to be here, Steve. Great to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too. I noticed you got your hair cut. You know, you got the granite cut there. You guys raised how much money for pediatric cancer
Over
research?
$4 million was donated to Boston Children's Hospital for cancer research. Yeah.
That's amazing. I committed to Charlie Pagliazzo that next year I was going to go there and get my hair cut live on LinkedIn. Live on LinkedIn. So I'm gonna do that. Well,
all right.
Last time I interviewed you, you weren't with Granite. So why don't you tell me what made you make a move to Granite?
Yeah, well, I have known Granite for a while. When you're in the channel, you get to know people in the channel and you see people who impress you. And Granite was always one of those companies that did. But I also had worked with Granite. Granite was a partner of mine in a previous company. And so I'd negotiated contracts with them. I'd been out to the headquarters. I'd met our CEO and founder and saw how Granite operated. And I thought, I'm an LA guy living in San Diego. It's a Boston company. I don't see how there's going to be a role for me at Granite. But towards the end of last year, Charlie Pags reached out to me and asked me if I was interested. And we started talking. And some really interesting things have been happening at Granite. Granite last year had its all-time year of sales growth in channels. It's always been a very channels-focused organization, and the growth that Granite has been experiencing across the nation, they needed somebody in the West to help drive sales, and that's how we kind of came together, and I'm really thrilled to be here.
That's great. That's a great story. And like you, man, I'm a huge fan of Granite. I drive a lot of business their direction because they're so good at what they do. But I think one of the things I like the most about Granite is Rob Hale. I've always said in a negative sense that a tree dies from the top down, but in Granite's case, a tree is green from the top down. Rob Hale is so customer focused. He's built really the whole 1.8 billion of Granite is built around what the customers need. Let's give it to them. So I'm a huge Granite fan, and I'm not just saying that because you're sponsoring the show. But you mentioned that you just had your blowout year, your best year in the channel with Granite.
Yeah.
What's going on with Granite right now on the channel?
Well, yeah. So I think a lot of people have an understanding of who Granite is based on who Granite was, and maybe I did too a little bit. But the message that I want to get out to the folks who are listening to this is really who Granite is and how Granite can help you today, how it can help partners and their customers today. Okay, so how is that? Well, Granite is the largest wholesaler of connectivity and voice, approaching $2 billion in revenue, an MSP concentrating on wireless and wireline solutions. And so we can help a partner, we can help a customer from everything from POTS lines to SIP to manage networks to SD-WAN and everything in between. And so, I'm going to talk about a couple other things that we're doing in the channel, but just think about that fully integrated solution, a wholesaler, meaning we're reselling other people's products, which means we've got a range of CPE, carriers, different wireless providers that your partners can choose from, that their customers can choose from, whether it's a wholesale, like a whole network on one provider or mix and match based on the customer's needs. We're really flexible. And as you said, customer focused. And that's who we are in the channel today.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer. And you haven't been there that long and you know all that. That's amazing. Okay, boil it down for this. Talking to the partners right here, what are 3 things that partners need to know about Granite?
Yeah. So when you're a wholesaler like we are, there's a lot that you can buy from us. And when you look at the big long list of products that people are selling, we could talk for an hour about all the products that Granite's selling, but I want to focus on three products, three services that when you look at what our partners are selling across the nation, this is what partners are selling more and more and more of. First, I mentioned wireless. We are doing quite a bit in the wireless space, whether it be, just this past week, we were named Cradlepoint MSP of the year, Managed Services Provider of the Year from Cradlepoint, number one. It's the third year in a row that we've won that designation. So wireless solutions for backup or redundancy or connectivity, we have that. Plus, we've got these really interesting solutions, and this is what customers like, this is what partners like too, where you can transfer your service from a wireless carrier to Granite. It's a real quick sale. It's a bill flip, and that means partners get paid really quickly and customers get provisioned really quickly. So that's one. Just think of us for different types of wireless solutions. That's number one. Number two, POTS line replacement. Just like I said, we could do a quick bill flip on the wireless side of things. Certain carriers, we can do a quick bill flip for POTS lines consolidated on ours, because we're buying POTS lines from the carriers and reselling them. We can convey our prices to partners, customers. And then last, and this is interesting, as you expand up the stack, we do SD-WAN. I'm not an SD-WAN expert. I will be before the end of the year. But one of the interesting things about how we do SD-WAN and manage that SD-WAN on top of it with our managed services is that we offer many different flavors of SD-WAN. We have 6 or 7 different providers of SD-WAN in our portfolio, companies like Fortinet and Meraki and Velo and others. And we're the only company in the channel that is offering a Juniper solution as well. And Juniper has some unique characteristics. All of those SD-WAN providers have unique characteristics and value propositions that partners, customers may be interested in, and we can work with your partners and your customers to design what is the right solution. Those three elements, wireless, POTS line replacement, along with the Epic solution and SD-WAN and managed services, those are where we're seeing lots of growth. And by growth, I mean partners are selling this stuff and having success with it.
That's great. That's a great answer. And those are really very, very important services right now. So I'm glad you elaborated on that. I appreciate it. Well, Eric, I know you're a big fan of the Top Gun show, and I know that there are millions and millions and millions of people watching you right now. I've asked you for a fun little known fact about yourself before, so I'm not going to ask you that. I know that a lot of people think that you go to Vegas and you're a Wayne Newton impersonator, but I know better than that. So I'm going to ask you this. When you were a little kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
What did I want to be when I grew up? Well, that's funny. I think probably what I wanted to be, we never talked about this. I wanted to be a baseball player. I was an LA Dodger fan. I loved the Dodgers growing up, and I wanted to be a baseball fan. I was, the Steve Garvey, Davey Lopes, Bill Russell, Ron Cey era. And, but I just was never quite I never quite had the skills to be the baseball player that I wanted to be, but I still love the sport. I didn't have the skills that you had, sir. That's for sure.
Well, you still look very athletic. So I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Well, hey man, I appreciate you getting on the Top Gun show again. Thanks for carving out time out of your busy schedule. It's always fun to talk to you, Eric, and I'll look forward to seeing you at Channel Partners.
Yeah, absolutely. Look forward to it. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks for watching, everybody.